So I finally caught up to all the episodes that are currently out for Invincible Season 4. These 3 episodes are honestly really good. Shout out to Prime for always giving us 3 episodes at a time when they first released these seasons. Lord knows I've been needing my Invincible fix months before the season drops, so shout out to y'all. I appreciate you. That said, this is not going to be an official review of these next 2 episodes. I more so just want to about what went down in these episodes in no particular order. If you ain't there, I say all in the video. I already know what you gotta do. Go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, follow if you want TikTok. Let's just jump right into the Invincible talk, starting with this little motherfucker right here. This dude has the audacity to play holier than thou after Mark takes out Russ in episode 1. The fact that this is really a topic of conversation for anybody other than Mark, mind you, I understand. Russ was a human. And it's not a good look for a hero in Invincible who has all this bad baggage on his name after what his pops did in season 1. After what a member of his species and multiple versions of himself did what they did in the last season. For him to go out and literally punch bro's brains out. But again, need I remind you that one member of the Guardians of the Globe whose name is not coming to me right now. I cut to 3 separate times in that episode and didn't make it to Mark with the Disruptor. What was he supposed to do? This man really talking about, bro, the dome, what the hell? He had no right to take out Russ. What is wrong with him? I want y'all to close your eyes and really picture this scenario I'm about to lay out to y'all right now. Imagine if Mark didn't do what he did to Russ in this first episode of Invincible Season 4. And the dome around the city did in fact drop. It's over with at that point. He honestly should be grateful that the sequence decided to just stay in that controlled environment long enough for the Guardians of the Globe to come out there and even put the dome up to begin with. But if the dome comes down at any point in that exchange, humanity might as well just pack it up right there. Imagine that happened. And hours later, the Flaxons literally spin back for smoke that occurred in the very first season from a man that doesn't even reside on the planet anymore. Now, I remind y'all, these Flaxons, according to Donald, had thousands of members of their species pulling up on Earth within minutes at a time. I say all this to say, get off Mark dick. He made an executive decision that he's actively beating himself up for. You made an executive decision to go against what the Brit told you to do in that same episode. Ended up saving the day. So I thought, because you end up coughing up a whole sequid like 5 minutes after this conversation you having with the other Guardian. If it wasn't for Monster Girl, you would have been the reason for this sequid sequel movie that Invincible just cannot get enough of. Let my son Mark rock, please. Pretty comments aside, let me just talk about the Guardians of the Globe real quick. Can't lie, they kind of was doing a thing in this 3rd episode when the Flaxons pulled up. Especially Monster Girl and the Brit, and low-key Rudy did redeem himself in this episode. Shout out to them, one of their first official W's on the series. Although not really, because they're split by the end of it, which is bound to cause a lot of problems going into the next half of this season. Very curious to see what they go do to get Rudy and Monster Girl back, how the Guardians of the Globe go operate without them. What's going to happen with Eve now? Because Rudy was definitely working on something to help her with what's going on with her powers. Like, what could be happening with Eve to keep her from using her powers at their max extent? I wonder. Wait, since we're talking about Eve, let's just get the elephant out the room. My son Mark done knocked up Eve, and honestly, I can't blame him. This is honestly insane work, though. I was definitely not expecting this to potentially be the reason why her powers are on the fritz right now. Maybe it's not the only reason, though, because if it were, that would mean that Mark would have had to got Eve pregnant before the conquest attack. Her powers were already on the fritz by the end of season 3 before they end up having sex. But maybe it is the sole reason her powers are acting up like this. I don't know. Either way, Mark and Eve are about to have the most broken child in Invincible history, so the world better be ready for it. Before I move on from Mark and Eve, though, I did love how these two leaned on each other in the moments where they needed each other most, right after Mark killed Russ, with Eve going through everything she's going through with her power. It's good that these two can constantly find solace in each other with everything going on in their individual lives. Other than Debbie and what's his name looking into houses for their potential maybe moving at some point down the road in this series, we got Titan making his return this season, and apparently the dragon from the last season is not done with, bro. Sheenhead tells him that he survived and that he's coming after a Titan, and we see this firsthand. While Titan's out with his wife and his daughter, he gets attacked by this ninja, whatever bro is. Bro is a real threat. He really almost took out his family. Titan appreciated this, so he decides to hit up Invincible Inc. But once again, ask for the services of Mark Grayson, but Mark is not available. He's dealing with the Flaxons. Luckily, we got little bro here to take on the job and help out Titan. Only when he pulls up and sees that he's fighting a whole ass dragon, he immediately calls Eve and lets her know, oh, yeah, I need bro out in the field ASAP. And of course, after Mark's done dealing with the Flaxons, he comes to help his brother. He's not pleased to see that Titan called for his brother to help. He is essentially using Oliver the same way he used him in the past. Now, granted, he did want to use Mark. He didn't even really want to use Oliver for real. Nonetheless, you're still using a Grayson, and Mark is not tolerating that. There sends Titan to the afterlife before Oliver talks him down, tells him, yo, bro, you wildin'. Ironically enough, Titan and Lou end up on Machine Head's payroll by the end of this episode, so this whole shit was filler if I ever seen it. Alright, we talked enough about Mark Grayson. Now we gotta get into this Viltrumite / Omni-Man flashback. In the words of Alan, some way, somehow, this man, Omni-Man, made me feel somewhat bad for how the Viltrumites were done in this flashback. Mind you, you got young Omni-Man's mom and pops beating him to a pulp up an inch of his life before Omni-Man's pops has to talk the mom down from absolutely wrecking her son. Even and telling bro he still has to clock in for work. This shit was crazy. Love this exchange because it adds more context on the beatdown that Omni-Man gave to Mark in season 1. When we first seen this absolute beatdown unfold in the first season, I genuinely thought Omni-Man was tweaking, and he still was. At least his flashback provides some context on why this was his immediate reaction. For Mark not choosing to align with him and Viltrum in their plan to conquest and take over Earth. Not just Nolan and his parents, a lot of the new employees, I guess, on Viltrum were getting their ass handed to them by their parents before clocking in. That's what I first thought they was dying from, but nah, somebody laced Viltrum, killing billions of Viltrumite. Literally cooked their race. Omni-Man dead had to throw his dead pops into the void of space. And when I first heard this, I'm thinking some way, somehow Earth heard about the Viltrumite. They would want to do this, but that don't even make sense with everything we know from season 1. One of the earlier seasons when we first see Omni-Man pull up to Earth. Then it's revealed that it's this dude all along who the Viltrumites know as the betrayer. When the defied Viltrum decided to stand on his 10 and dip off the planet. This is spin back after concocting the poison that would take out his people and eliminate literal billions. Obviously, Omni-Man doesn't like this when he finds out, on top of the fact that he's already been on the fence of this plan that Alan had to eliminate the remaining 50 Viltrumites. Now we gotta find out that it was one of his own that ended up taking out billions of his own. Thetis' logic is like, well, that billion took out billions before them, and I mean, he's right. I do think genocide was going a bit too far, though. Wait, Thetis lets Omni-Man know we still have more of this Scourge virus that was first used to take out the Viltrumites left. Omni-Man makes him promise to not use it unless absolutely necessary in their fight against Viltrum down the line. And he is totally not a part of, by the way. Not yet, by the way, but Alan's definitely gonna get him to join their side within like 2 episodes. Speaking of Alan, I absolutely loved his interactions with Omni-Man in this episode. How their friendship continues to build every episode they're on screen together. Seeing them generally have each other's back and watching Nolan actually allow somebody to be his friend. Lord knows coming up on Viltrum, he didn't have time for friendship. I know y'all seen what young Nolan told them little kids before he got beat up by his own parents. Talk about some y'all be smart to bring weapons. What are you talking about? I've seen him travel the world to collect items to take out the Viltrumites in this future war. And it cuts to Alan and his girl hunching every 5 minutes were hilarious as well. I know that boy Omni-Man was sick. He got his get back though. I believe we end off this episode with Conquest finally returning to Viltrum. On himself to Grand Regent Thragg, apologizing for how things ended up on Earth, asking him to make his death painful and to use him as an example. This type of shit is really what they used to on Viltrum. This is crazy. Thragg in response decides to spare him, saying he will not reward him with death. So what are you gonna do? Because bro definitely deserves some type of punishment for what went down on Earth. I'm just saying. That's how I seen y'all move in this episode. Viltrumites don't get a get out of jail free card, which is literally what Conquest did, but that's not the point. I'm getting at is, what is Thragg going to have Conquest do and now that he has returned to Viltrum? First, I think he's going to return to Earth to try to spin back on Mark and Eve. He can't take that line down. We'll see what happens though. I love these 2 episodes. Looking forward to this Viltrumite war on the horizon. Ready to see Thragg get busy, man. I heard a lot about this, man. And if he, Conquest, and the other 48 Viltrumites are pulling up to Earth for smoke, this lineup is definitely necessary. I personally think they need more. This is a good start for sure. But as always, y'all let me know what y'all thought of these episodes in the comments. Where y'all see the season going from here, and which storyline are you most excited to see unfold as the season progresses so far? I'll be in host Jay Swallow. We've been entertained, and we're gonna talk soon. Peace out.